So, we'd like to invite you to just close your eyes as the music plays and just open yourself to the presence, rest in the presence, and hold space. See you in a few minutes.
Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignakara Dura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignakara Dura Hamari.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Welcome to our weekly online satsang. Satsang being a Sanskrit word that literally means community of truth, but we have satsang whenever two or more people on the spiritual path of awakening and transformation come together to share their journey, to share their presence, their insights, their challenges. Satsangs generally center around a particular saint or spiritual teacher or master, and these would be the people that follow that one. Well, the one we're following here in Flowering Heart Satsang is simply the divine itself, and the flowering of the divine presence in each of our hearts, transforming us from one degree to the next, from a human being into a divine human being. And we're glad you're with us tonight. When we come together and we share the journey, our strength is multiplied. The presence that we experience and generate alone with the divine is exponentially increased when we join together like this. And it speeds up the journey for all of us. It helps. It dissolves blocks and greases the works of awakening. So important to be part of spiritual community. So please find one where you are, if you can, of others like you who are experiencing the grace of awakening from the illusion of separate existence into the reality of oneness with all that is, with the source, with all things, and with each other. We find when we begin to awaken, we have more in common with others who are awakening than people in our own belief system or church or temple or wherever, whatever tradition we're rooted in. Perhaps not everyone in those groups has yet experienced the light coming on and the awakening taking place. And once that begins, we have more in common than anything that could distinguish us and our belief systems from one another. So, welcome. We share throughout the satsangs the flowering heart blessing, which is a transmission of divine grace, of light, of enlightened divine consciousness. It's a gift directly from Source to help humanity shift and awaken. There are many beautiful forms of blessing being manifested on planet Earth as we speak. Many years ago, it was hard to find it. You could read about it, but to find a direct transmission of awakened consciousness was rare. Now it's everywhere, and there's so many beautiful forms. The flowering heart blessing is a particular form. It's been around forever. It has a Sanskrit name too, but the divine, in revealing it to me and Suzanne and urging us, nudging us to begin to share it 7+ years ago, the divine said, this blessing doesn't come from or flow through any spiritual hierarchy or organization or master or tradition. It comes directly from divine source to whomever I choose to give it to. And I choose to give it to anyone that wants it free of charge. It's a gift of grace, of my unconditional love to assist those who are desiring to be transformed. So give it away. Don't charge for it, because if you do, then it isn't grace. It's something else. And let people know who connect with this energy and resonate with it, that the moment they received the flowering heart blessing, they were activated and initiated to be able to share it with others, either through consent, informed consent with a gentle laying on of hands on the receiver's head. They need to know this is going to change them and begin to catalyze awakening and the flowering of divine consciousness in the heart. At a distance, you can just hold a person or a group of people in prayer and meditation and in love in your heart, and invite the divine to just pour through you the flowering heart blessing. The divine will do all the rest. This isn't something we do. We simply offer ourselves as instruments of grace and invite the divine to pour through us exactly what that person or those people need most at this time to catalyze awakening and the flowering of their hearts. So please join us tonight in sharing the flowering heart blessing with all the other participants who join us tonight, and those who will be, because many times more people watch this and tune in and go through these satsangs after the live recording, because maybe they're working, maybe they're in another time zone. We have people join us from the other side of the planet, and they have very different time schedules and responsibilities. So many people, most of the people who connect with us, connect at different times during the week. We love to see that. And the only way we actually, well, we do see how many people watch over the week, but we like to know who you are. So if you'd give us a like or a love, you'd see up at the top of the chat there, a heart, that's me, and 2 others who gave us hearts already. Thank you very much, Paul and Michael. And we love you very much. We'd like everyone, if you do that, then Suzanne and I, as soon as we sign off at the end of the webcast, we pulled it down and look at the people that gave us a love or a like, and we send you a special little spiritual hug and blessing. If you're watching on another platform like Vimeo, as More is, I know that More is there because she entered something in the chat, and then I see the name, at least the screen ID. So I know you can find a way to do it, and we so appreciate it. We had a really cool,
powerful
interfaith communion with the cosmic Christ yesterday. It is interfaith. It's focused on the cosmic Christ, that aspect of the Christ that has no beginning and no end, has always been and always will be God within. Goes by other names in different traditions. But the focus of we do it once a month, the last Sunday of the month, and in the recording, the video's right there on Vimeo, or if you're on Facebook Live, it's just a few screens down on my Facebook page. But the theme was, our way is the path unseen. And it was really a message directly from Spirit about the times that we're in and what's happening on planet Earth, and a real confirmation that you will not be forsaken. And you need to be ready for the divine to guide you on paths that you've never experienced before, that you've never seen before, so you don't see them now. You have to take that walk of faith where you step out not knowing what the result will be, and the hand of the divine is always there to catch your foot with each step. I think you would enjoy it. It's the entire 42nd chapter of Isaiah. It is all about the coming of the Christ, the outpouring of the Holy Spirit, the end of this age, the planet being on fire like it is right now. And it was written by the prophet Isaiah 700 years before the birth of Christ, all about Christ. 2,700 years ago, which is really pretty cool when you dig into some of the prophecies of the great Hebrew prophets, the major prophets like Ezekiel and Isaiah and Jeremiah and others. But Isaiah has got to be my favorite of the bunch. And so if you didn't tune in, we invite you to watch the video. I think you'll be blessed. So today, you probably know, is Halloween. And we just had a steady stream of young space beings and goblins and ghosties and other fun costumes that little kids were wearing, knocking at our door. And they're done now, so I think we can get through the webcast without the doorbell ringing, which rings through our entire center. So if you hear it, you'll know what that was. But you know, it's interesting how many people don't know where Halloween came from. And actually, its origins are the ancient Celtic celebration of Samhain. The ancient Celts had major celebrations during the year, but the main one of their four main festivals was Samhain, which marked the beginning of winter, the beginning of the dark half of the year. And the church, in this case the Catholic Church, has had a long-standing pattern, a tradition of going into what were considered to be pagan traditions and cultures and taking their major holidays and transforming them into some Christian festival. But Halloween was the pagan festival of Samhain, and it initially included both October 31st and November 1st. November 1st is Samhain. October 31st was the eve of Samhain, and it was believed back in those times that at this point of the year, the veil between the living world and the other world, the other side, the nether world, was thinnest, and that the spirits of the departed were actually allowed to cross over and manifest in the living world, which led to the idea of dressing up in costumes of ghouls and ghosties and things, was to protect the kids from being taken by these otherworldly spirits and other such nonsense. But the church decided, let's make Samhain All Saints' Day. So November 1st in the Catholic calendar is the celebration honoring all the beings that attained sanctity, holiness, oneness with the divine in their human life, and are now in an exalted state with the divine in paradise. And so all the great saints are celebrated November 1st. And holy, one of the word hallowed, remember the Lord's Prayer, hallowed be thy name, that means holy. So it was the day to celebrate the souls of all the holy people. And hence, the night before was called Halloween, the eve of Holy Day, of the day of the celebration of the holy saints. And then, November 2nd is All Souls Day, where all the rest of us bozos get celebrated. All the souls. They don't have to be great saints or perfected or anything, but all the departed souls are remembered, particularly the ancestors and those who have gone before us. So whichever tradition you're looking at it from, whether it's from the pagan Celtic tradition or Wicca or from the Christian tradition, looking at it as All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, and All Souls Day, it's a special time of focusing on the souls that have crossed over. And certainly in the case of the saints, the ascended masters, the divine beings that are in the light, connecting with them, we can receive tremendous grace and blessing and assistance in our journeys. So, in case you didn't know, now you do. In case you already did, sorry. But I found just in the last few days, in asking people if they knew what Halloween was and where it came from, they knew nothing. And I thought, well, that's kind of sad. And that's not the only pagan festival that the church transformed. I mean, Christmas actually probably wasn't the time of Christ's birth, but a time of great midwinter celebration. And Easter, remember Easter? Easter eggs and all that? Easter is actually the name of a goddess, a pagan goddess, that God absolutely said, I forbid you to worship her, or even mention her name. And she went by several. Easter's the one we know, because it's all over there once a year. And for the Western, for all the Christian traditions, it's a celebration of the resurrection of Christ. But the original was a celebration of the divine goddess, who also went by the name of Ishtar, Ashtoreth, Astarte. I said those names. And there are a whole bunch more names, and Easter's one of the translations of the name of that goddess. And the ancient Hebrews, who were spending a lot of time in Babylon in those days, were exposed to these celebrations. They really enjoyed it. And one of the things that they especially enjoyed was making hot cross buns. You've heard of hot cross buns? They're these cool sweet pastries that people make traditionally at Easter time that have a cross of icing on the top or some other form, and we call them hot cross buns. Well, they're in the Bible, actually. And the God of Israel said, do not make those buns. Do not worship that goddess. Don't even mention her name. Now, I seem a little flippant because, well, we're not living under those laws. And many of us have great respect for the goddess, for the Divine Mother, and all of that. But it's kind of fun to look into some of these traditions and see where they began and how the Western Church found a need to sort of paint them over. The paint them over. The painting of Easter eggs, that's like a Roman thing. And we could go on with so many. The Christmas tree, a nice, beautiful pagan German tradition, you know. So Halloween's one of those things. Let's see. If you're just visiting for the first time or you dropped in out of some other place, we open it to questions and answers at this point, or discussions about aspects of the spiritual journey of awakening, of divine union, of enlightenment, meditation, reincarnation. Whatever you're curious about or would like more light on, if you ask a question, we'll address it. The best questions actually arise from issues, struggles, challenges that you might be facing in your own spiritual journey. Like, my meditation suddenly stopped working, or I just had this incredible flash of light and everything's different. Anything really that's from your own personal experience, it benefits everyone. Because even though your journey and my journey and Suzanne's journey will all be uniquely different, they have parallels. And we go through a lot of the same experiences and ups and downs along the way. And certainly all the thresholds of awakening and transformation are the same. Whether you're following the Vedic tradition, the mystical Christian tradition, the Sufi tradition, that's another really interesting study to do, is levels of awakening and transformation in all the great religious and spiritual traditions. And you have to learn the language of each of them to really know what they're talking about, to discover that Nirvikalpa Samadhi is exactly the same, or very, I don't want anyone upset with me, but it virtually parallels what in the Christian church is called the transforming union. And so the mystic may have different understandings about what it means to have the world and your body suddenly disappear and to just be dissolved in light. For someone, that might be samadhi. For someone else, it would be ecstatic, the prayer of ecstatic union. It could be dissolving in the void. It could be melting in the ground of being. These are all different ways to conceptualize the identical experiences. So that's fun to do, which gives you more time to ask questions. So Christopher asks, what happens if I miss the guidance from the divine, or I'm too distracted by the world to notice? Because I don't feel as connected anymore. I've been continuing my spiritual practices, but feeling energies, intuition, etc. has diminished. Well, there are no permanent states, Michael. There are times where we're more intensely aware, and there are times where the consolations, the spiritual unctions, the energies and the intuitions and all that seem to dry up. And the divine uses that, actually. That's part of the journey. It doesn't mean anything's wrong, because it makes you ask this question: what happens? Did I miss something? Why am I feeling more distracted? I keep doing my practices, but my feelings and intuition seem to have diminished. It drives you deeper to ask, what's going on? What do I need to do? The divine won't let us become complacent. Because the more you grow, if you were allowed to just sit in the gorgeous, ecstatic energy that you may have experienced in certain peak states, you're just completely blissed out and satisfied. But it's just the beginning. The journey goes way on from there. So when the divine sees us sort of resting on a plateau, it's not at all uncommon to experience those spiritual consolations and experiences diminish, to force you, instead of feeding on them, to go deeper, deeper, deeper into union with the divine in the invisible world. And invisible means often unfelt. The connection can be absolutely total and not necessarily feel or see anything. But we have to be sort of coaxed to go deeper and deeper and deeper. Now, the way you know that, and so when the consolations and the energies and the experiences seem to recede in these times of being forced to turn inward and go deeper, it could also be that we're just backsliding because maybe we have gotten distracted. Maybe our life is focused on something else. And one of the things that we learned from Isaiah 42 yesterday about the unseen path is that you have to be, the servant of the Lord is deaf and blind. The servant of the Lord hears many things but pays no attention. The Spirit of the Lord's eyes are wide open but sees nothing except the path. And so that's quite a journey to wean us of all of our distractions and all of our mixed motives and desires. And the divine is as gentle as can be about it. The way you know the difference between if it's that, which isn't easy, which is why I'm explaining it, but it's a very natural and not for everyone, but for most of us, a necessary part of the journey. And just backsliding, where we've actually just sort of gotten off track, is that when it's the dark night and the Spirit's really leading you in the darkness, you feel this intense desire to be closer to the divine. You like, what happened? I want more of that. And when the soul just backslides into compromise, you lose your passion, you lose your desire. So that's why it's important, I think, to have good spiritual direction. In the long run, once the mystical transformation has begun, there are ups and downs. There are peak experiences and peak states, but there are no permanent states. So what goes up is going to dive into the depths for the next ascent. And it's like peeling the layers of an onion. Maybe a spiral would be a better way to look at it.
But what I find has been most helpful for me is that I realize that the more that I surrender in service and ask, how can I be of help? How can I be a blessing today? That has deepened my intuition. It's deepened my connection with the divine. It's deepened the flowering of the heart, because I'm no longer thinking, oh, I'm not having peak experiences, I'm not having intuition, I'm not having this, I want, which is coming from the mind and the ego that wants that spiritual experience anyway. So the more that I take the attention off of me and focus on how I can help in the world around me, I'm getting intuition just like crazy. It's like I'll think of somebody and they'll call, or I'll think I should make a big pot of soup and people will need it. And it's been really amazing. And it was a very touching service that Michael did yesterday. It really brought the point home to me that none of us really, we just have an illusion that we have control over what's going to happen tomorrow or what's going to happen an hour from now. And the mind wants to know that. The mind wants to have a routine or something set. But when we open ourselves up more to just hearing from our environment in the present moment what needs to be addressed and attended to, there's a lot less worry, there's less control, there's less of everything that the mind wants to throw up. Literally.
I was told a story many years ago by one of my spiritual mentors. There was a little boy, and he was just beginning, his path in life, and but he had faith, and he wanted to grow in union with the divine and in consciousness. And he's out, playing in the woods one day by a lake, and he sees this man of God sitting on the edge of the water, whom was known to be in a very high state, in a very deep state of union with the divine, with wondrous things working through his life, and he's a living saint. And so the boy comes up to him and says to the old man, how can I get what you have with God? I want that. I don't have it. And the old man turns to him and looks deeply into his soul, into his eyes, and says, "Do you really want what I have?" And the boy said, "I do. How much do you want it?" He said, "Totally. With all of my heart, I want what you've got." And he said, "Okay." And the old man did the unthinkable. He grabbed him by the scruff of the neck and pushed the boy's head underwater till he was drowning. And at the last second, he pulled him up and said, "How much did you want that next breath?" And the boy said, "A lot. I was drowning. What are you doing to me? What's wrong with you?" And the old saint said, "When you want God more than that next breath, that's when you'll have what I have." And there are all kinds of levels to that, because there's, in divine union, there's the breathless state where actually you're breathing in the light and don't even need external breath. I mean, that's what happens in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, in the breathless state. So, just saying. maybe there is some place to look at if you're being distracted by the world. And just not noticing, because Christ said, well, they translate it repent, which is appropriate for some of us, but the word is metanoia, and meta means transformation, and noia means consciousness. Christ came out of his 40-day fast in the desert, and he began his teaching ministry saying, "Be awakened, let your consciousness be transformed, and your heart," and they translate it, "and believe the gospel." But the word there, pistis, is to experience the reality of something in your heart, not to believe it in your head. So Christ said, "Let your consciousness be awakened and experience the reality, the kingdom of heaven is at hand." Now, there were lots of things going on in Jesus' time that it could cause you to be distracted. And he was constantly bombarded with, misfortune and opposition, and his ministry lasted 3 years before he got nailed, literally. Of course, he did rise. But point being that while all of this distraction is going on, we have to see through it to the reality underlying all existence. It's here all the time. The light is shining between the cracks. The light is shining through it all. Between every thought and every breath, there is the space, the presence, the light. And meditation and spiritual practice is to keep returning from our distraction to the space of the presence and letting go. So ask yourself, if you're continuing to do that, then just keep your seatbelt fastened and the ride will unfold. Anything else about that one? Okay, John Lewis says, "My friend said everything he needed to learn was taught in kindergarten."
It's a book.
But he missed kindergarten.
Oh.
"I can barely remember if I even went. Am I doomed?" No.
Oh.
That's simple. Nope. No, nobody's doomed. And I've heard that before, but believe me, I've learned a lot since kindergarten, and I didn't miss kindergarten. I remember it. I went there. And I'm sure I learned some things about sharing and kindness and forgiveness and
Finger painting,
and dancing and singing, and lots of good stuff. But the things I've learned since have been exponentially more important. Love, selfless surrender is not, children are in a natural state of oneness up to a point, up to about age 6 or 7. Although they're being traumatized by everything at a pre-rational age, and it's causing programming and charges and stuff that they'll be dealing with the rest of their life. So there's a lot to learn. We never know it all. And so some of us feel like, oh, I got it. If you ever have that notion, know that you don't. One of the great, it's sort of a koan, sort of a a proverb that some Zen teachers use, is to cultivate a beginner's mind. And it's the most difficult thing to do after you have a number of spiritual experiences, and most of us have, and I know you have, John, profound ones. We have these experiences, and we get certain definite insights and understandings that keep beginning to build. And somehow, the challenge, which is why people go through the experiences that Michael describes of where to go, we have to only have beginner's mind, only don't know beginner's mind. And to return to the innocence of I don't know anything. Because all that's in the mind, all of our understanding. And my master, my Taoist master, a very great being, used to, when I'd like really pursue him, explain this to me. I want to understand. I mean, what happened when I was out of my body and out of my mind, watching the mind and the body, and I dissolved in the void, and he'd say, oh, no matter, never mind. Anytime you'd come up with a philosophical question that was unanswerable or unhelpful, he'd just say, no matter, never mind. It took years for me to realize he literally meant the answer is no matter, never mind. So there you go. Yeah, and John writes, hopefully a little laugh. Yeah, yeah, it's good to keep laughing. Indeed. But there are so many things that we learned as children, if we could remember. If we could, through meditation, learn, and you can, and build the ability to enter the blank state, the tabula rasa of a newborn. It's like every time you come out of the void, every time you come out of dissolution of self in the infinite, it's like being born again. And you don't come out going, oh, I know what that was. You know, I get it all. Let me write a book. Let me, you know. It's probably one of the reasons I don't want and have resisted for decades writing a book. That doesn't mean I promise I won't ever do it, but to be open like a child in wonderment, in the unknown. I mean, Suzanne is constantly sharing with me and our community the experiences she has with our new granddaughter. Because when Suzanne can take her outside and she'll be in front of a bush or a tree and just stare at it and wonder with her eyes wide open, you know, it's like absolute rapturous delight. And there's no,
and we just go, oh, it's a tree.
Oh, it needs to be trimmed. Oh, we need to rake that. You know?
Well, that's this type of tree or that type of tree. And our mind just goes off on tangents.
And John is sharing one of the insights that he's been given along the way is, my absolute truth is there is nothing to fear. That's true. It's true. So, fear ain't a thing. Fear is running from things. And the more we discover we can't escape it all, and we stop running, and we just embrace it, it's okay. It's okay. It's going to be okay. There's really nothing to fear. But at the same time, I don't turn to a person who's in terror because of some traumatic experience they're going through and say, there's nothing to fear. I mean, if I can do it in a way that isn't flippant, I try to impart what you're saying. There really is nothing to fear. But if you're really afraid, I understand. Let me give you a hug. It's going to be okay. You know, you will never be forsaken. The divine will always take you through. So, thanks for the reminder, John. That's great. Any other questions or observations or?
It's time. It's time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's always that time. It's that time.
It's blessing time.
All right. So, why don't we all just take a dip in the divine. Close your eyes. Turn your attention to the center of your being. There, deep within you, dwells the divine presence. Of course, the divine presence is everywhere and everything, equally present, but at the center of your being there's a special connection, a link for you to the infinite divine source through the heart. This presence who dwells within you is all powerful, all knowing, all wise, and fortunately, all love. Unconditionally, this presence loves you with its infinite power and wisdom and knowledge. Some of us embarrass ourselves. We haven't totally learned to forgive or accept ourselves. The divine knows more about your mistakes and your quirks than you'll ever know. And it doesn't change a thing. This divine presence loves you infinitely. And it yearns to embrace you in total love and draw you into complete oneness with itself at the center of your being. All you need to do is ask and receive. And the divine will do the rest. So begin to drink in the flowering heart blessing. Drink in, soak in, absorb, allow spiritual awakening to engulf your being, to fill your heart with the light of divine oneness. It yearns too to free your soul, your mind, your thoughts, your emotions from suffering, programming, wrong thinking. As the light is released within you, as the blessing of the presence begins to flower in you, it radiates outward through every layer of your being. Your soul will be transformed and cleared and restructured. Your physical body will experience healing and transformation. Your relationships will be healed. And all of your connections to the outer world, just receive the blessing that is pouring out within you, pouring out upon you, pouring to you from every direction. There's nothing to do but welcome in gratitude and receive. Imagine, with our eyes closed, that we're sitting in a circle together. Lift up your hands with your palms open, faced forward, and invite the presence to pour the blessing through you to all the others in the circle. As the blessing pours through you, as you give blessing to others, it works on you as it flows through you, even more powerfully, oftentimes, than receiving a blessing. Know that as you invite the divine presence to flow through you to the others, they're inviting the divine to flow through them to you. Let us now envision in the center of our circle the beautiful blue planet Earth. And let us ask the divine to bless and heal the earth. Let us ask and hold an intention for the divine to pour out the presence all over planet Earth, extinguishing the flames, the fires of anger and the fury of war, with the waters of love, the waters of the Spirit, cleansing the earth. Anger, violence, hatred, filling it with peace and love, transforming all of humanity in oneness with one another and with the divine itself. State an intention and hold an intention like that, and then just be still. Open up and feel the presence, if it agrees with your intentions, pouring grace through you. It's wonderful. It's so easy. Open your eyes and begin to make direct eye contact with Suzanne and or me. During the light meditation, just keep looking at least one of our eyes. And there's nothing else to do but be open and receive. During the light meditation, we're flooded with divine grace, oceans of love and awakening grace and transformational energies begin to pour through us, through all of our being to you. especially through the eyes, the gateways, the doorways of the soul. That light flows out through our eyes, into your eyes, through your eyes into your heart, causing the light within you to arise and expand, liberating, awakening, and transforming. with us for just a few more minutes as the grace we've received settles with you. Meditating as long as you feel like it. It's good. Also, you could lie in Shavasana, which is a yoga pose where you just lie on your back somewhere nearby with your eyes closed and your arms loosely at your sides with your palms turned upward. And just let yourself dissolve with gratitude in the presence. We love you a lot.
Much love, light, and blessings.
Until the next time we meet, know that the divine within us beholds the divine within you, your true essence, and we bow to you.